Hello everyone and welcome to this Derive workshop. In this workshop we're going to be creating an interior tiling surface and I'm going to show you some tricks and techniques with which you can do this. The difference between the usual tutorials and the workshops are that during the workshops I haven't prepared anything, so I'll be working along as I speak. So sometimes I may have to go back and edit things to get them right and so on and so forth. But yeah, this is, I think, useful so you can better see the workflow of Derive and follow along, or pause and try to do like your own variation, or maybe your own patterns, your own colors, whatever you like. And this is what we're gonna make. So it's an interior tiling with two different types of rows and two different colors. And we're going to create the maps and everything and then render it in the preview. We won't export it because that's only a click of a mouse. You can export it for yourself once we're done. And this workshop consists of 3 parts. In the first part, we're going to be creating the pattern. In the second part, we're then going to create the colors that we need. And in the third part, we're going to create all the maps and put everything together to see what it looks like. All right, so let's start by making the pattern. To make the pattern, I'm going to create a base shape node, and a square is going to do just fine for now. And first, let me use a shrink node and actually make it smaller, like 0.95 by 0.95. That's 95% of its original size in both dimensions. And now we're going to use an inlay node to create our first part of the pattern. Now let's set the tiling to 3 in each direction, and say the extent along the x-axis is 3, so we have a full row. And we're not going to extend to along the y-axis because we want the middle to look different. And if we extend along the y-axis, we're going to have this also in the middle, and we don't want to have this. So I'm going to keep it at that. But I'm just going to use a mirror node and say I want to mirror it vertically. And now if I use a min-max node and set it to max, this will output the maximum of 2 values. And this will give us the first part of our pattern. Now we have to take care of the middle. And to do that, I'm gonna use that same base shape. I'll also use the shrink node again. And I'm going to say I want 0.9 on the x-axis and 0.966 along the x-axis and 0.9 along the y-axis. I think that's what I was looking for. And again, I'm going to use an inlay node. And now I'm going to say the x tiling is 2 and the y tiling is 6. I'm going to say offset y is 2. So now we're starting in the middle, and I'm going to have extend y 2 and extend x also 2. That fills up the row, and it's exactly in the middle. Now if we use another min-max node and plug in these 2 results, we get this. Okay, but we still need to store it somehow so we can later access it. And to do that, we're going to use an append node. So I'm going to add an append node. And the information we want to store is this part of the pattern, the upper and lower tiles, because they're going to get one color. And then I'm going to use the tiles in the middle, and I'm going to append them to the green channel because these are going to get a different color. And then this entire pattern, because we're going to require it to assign the height map and the specular map and ambient occlusion and so forth. I'm going to put this in the blue channel. Okay, and this is our base pattern, but before we can store it, we need to tile it. So I'm going to use a tiling and offset node and set the tiling to something like 3 by 3. And I think this looks, actually that may be a bit too much. Let's keep it at 2 by 2. And now what we need to do is we need to store it. I'm going to use a set variable node. This is going to store our pattern. I'm going to name this pattern. And we can then access it at another point in the graph. And that is it for the first part. In the second part, we're going to be creating the colors. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.